What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bling Talks. Today we have Randy Horgan, the president of Watch Repairs USA, a company dedicated to watch repairs and providing fast, convenient, reliable, high-quality watch repairs. Been in business since 2007 and has done over 400,000 watch repairs. Randy, thanks for being on today. It's a pleasure to meet you. I can't wait to talk to you.
Hey, thanks, Anthony. Thanks for having me on, and I appreciate everything that you do and kind of getting the industry talking and connecting, and it's very appreciated what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we are Watch Repairs USA. You can find us on the web. We're a mail-in service more than just a walk-in location. There's plenty of walk-in locations across the country. Typically, somebody finds us because their walk-in location is either A, too far away, too inconvenient, or they just couldn't fix the watch that they had. The repair was too extensive. So they look on the web, they find me, and like you said, we're at 400,000 repairs since 2007.
Yeah, man, that's remarkable. And I do notice that watch repair is one of those things that does get outsourced a lot outside of the brick and mortar stores, where they have a watch person that comes and picks them up and gets them fixed and things like that. So it's a little bit of a gap that I've seen, and it looks like you guys are filling that gap and people are loving it. So great job on that. And it's great to see the success. I've taken a look at the business and the rankings and all of the growth that you guys, the presence that you have online, and it's tip top, and it seems that the service is in alignment with the way that you present yourself online. So congratulations to that. Usually you don't find a lot of people who are good at marketing and good at fixing watches, and we'll kind of dive into that a little bit more as well today. So congrats on that. So, one thing I'd like to ask is just, what are some of the challenges that you've had to navigate with watch repair service? It's pretty technical, and people are pretty particular about handing over their watches. So, what are those significant challenges you've faced since 2007?
So, probably the biggest challenge is time, right? We live in an Amazon Prime world today, and watch repair is not. Well, we'd love to say we're better than we were 10, 15 years ago. Parts are hard to find. Sometimes I have to get parts. Most of them are coming directly from Switzerland on some manufacturing, or, even if they're sourced here in the United States, they originated someplace else sometimes. And it's just a time aspect. So if I need a unique dial that is currently on back order, well, I might have to wait a month or 2 months until that manufacturer decides to run that part again, or they may never decide to run that part again, and then it's a time game. And people you can order almost anything and have it to your house delivered tomorrow, and people kind of think the same thing with repairing something. Well, I might be working on a vintage pocket watch from the 1880s, and the part doesn't exist, so I have to make it, or I have to use some kind of pre-existing stock. And so time is probably one of their biggest challenges, and just people understanding that watch repair does take time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I would assume some parts you have some reliable sources for, but let's say something super rare. I know you mentioned making it, but where do you go to that? Is some of that stuff found from like peer to peer, like people selling it? Like, do you find that from people, or?
It's all the above. I mean, I wish I could say there was one super store of watch repair parts, but there's just not. If it comes from the standpoint of, sometimes we can buy the part directly from the manufacturer, and we've got relationships with basically everybody. Or then that's our first go-to. I want original parts from the manufacturer whenever possible. But sometimes that's just not an option. And, at some point, I still would like to get a repair completed. And, so we do. We'll offer, here's an aftermarket band that we can get. It looks this similar, but it's not from the manufacturer. And I just tell people that's my option. And sometimes most of the time it's yes, because somebody just wants it fixed.
Right.
But we try to communicate that. But the first source is always the manufacturer. Second source is we try to probably make in-house. Or third is we just look for like a third party parts location that can supply us something like that.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that's a gritty part of the process for sure. You know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not
and it's not that it's not that it doesn't exist, and most of the time it's probably 95% of the time it's just this is what we do, this is where we get it. It's fast, it's easy, and it's done. But sometimes it's not.
yeah, yeah. Part of the game. Part of the game.
Yeah, and you just always got to be prepared for sometimes it's not.
Yeah, man. Well, we wouldn't have jobs if we didn't have problems to fix, you know.
Yep.
Um, so you kind of mentioned a little bit about the business model, but let's kind of dive into it a little bit more. You know, you got a 500-pound gorilla of a business here. I went on the website. There's well over, I think, 100 brands that I saw. Where are you located? How does this work? You know, how do you manage the operation as far as being able to get to 400,000 watch repairs? There has to be process team in place.
Yeah. So first off, I mean, we have a kind of an attitude here that every watch we touch is a memory, or every watch we touch is someone's one of their most prized possessions that they have. We absolutely love the stories that we get. This was my mom's before she passed. She gave it to me, and I just want to wear it again. Or this was, my spouse gave this to me on our 10th anniversary, and it just stopped working last week. And I really, really want to get this moving, working again so that I can wear it again. And so, one of the, if you ask, why we exist because people's memories are very important, and we love to restore those memories. I have a lot of what I call possession watches, and then I have a lot of what I call memory watches. I put them on because I want to think of my son that day, or I want to think of my daughter, or I'm going someplace special with my wife. I'm going to wear a watch that she gave me, and it has meaning and memories behind them. But we are Watch Repairs USA. We're located in Illinois, centrally located in the United States, and where some people are a storefront, we're an online business. I'm located on the second and third story of an office building, and we get packages delivered to us by UPS every day. When you sign up with us online, I give you a label. I give you a label to send it to me, UPS. I insure it. It gets to me. I look at it. I assess it. I tell the customer what is necessary to get completed, how much it's going to cost. And at this point, the customer's paid nothing. I've done all the front work to just say, we just want to do business with you, and this is what it's going to cost. If they decide they don't want to do it, no harm, no foul. I send it back to you. The only thing I ever ask somebody is just pay the return shipping. And if you don't want to pay the return shipping that I have, send me a label. I'm not in this to make money on shipping somebody's watch back and forth. you know. But if you want to go forward with the repair, which I think about 85% of our customers eventually get a repair completed with us, then you just pay and we start the repair. And my average time right now is 5 weeks, but it can, I mean, if you send me an old pocket watch, it's probably going to be more like 3 to 4 months. If you send me a vintage piece that I'm going to have to refinish a dial, may take even a little bit longer. But on the flip side, if it's like a crystal or a battery or you need a new crown, it could just be a couple weeks. So, but the average is about 5 weeks. And it's all, what I like about what we do is we bring something a little different. It's not just I walk in, I drop my watch off, and I go home, and then I'm waiting for a phone call. We do almost everything online. You sign up online. It delivers to us. We send you pictures. We send you emails along the way to say, "Hey, here's your estimate. Hey, repair has started. Hey, the package is about ready to be completed, and here's your tracking information on the way back to you." And we try to make it convenient for a customer that didn't want to just go find somebody when they might live in a place that it's hard to find somebody to repair a watch.
Thanks for sharing that. That is actually was going to lead into one of my next things that I was super interested in about is building trust with a high-end product that's being shipped out. That is a relationship that's happening digitally that does take maturity from a digital technology standpoint, nurturing that transaction.
Yeah.
If you would like to share anything else on that, you
Yeah,
know,
so we try everything that we can to make sure the customer has a good experience. So by the time somebody, so I'll just give an example. Somebody in California or Texas can't find somebody to repair their watch or just finds us online and they want to start the process with us. The first thing they do is they go on, they tell us, okay, this is the type of watch I have, and this is what I know is wrong with the watch. Give us some information. The first thing we do is I give my one of my customer service ladies that list tomorrow, and she calls every one of them and just says, "Hey, just want to put a face to a name. Here's who we are. This is the process that you're going to go through." And they just kind of step through that because at this point, all I've been is a digital transaction, and we're not a digital transaction, and we try to make sure people understand there's people that they on the other side of the phone and call us anytime, and we're in the office every day. We answer the phones anytime people call, and we try to get back to people as fast as we can. So it's that piece that I think is unique for us that we offer that maybe somebody else can't. And maybe somebody else doesn't want to. I think the beauty of what we have is I keep my watchmakers working on watches and customer service people helping the customers try to navigate through the process.
yeah, that's really good and a really good way to merge the two. So,
Yeah.
it's be really a big pain in the butt to have a brick and mortar situation where people are coming in and I mean it may be nice, but the way that you set it up is obviously creating.
And those I am fully understanding that somebody wants to do that, and a lot of the people that sign up, they do say, I don't know, but we're on, like you said, repair number 400,000, so there's a lot of people that do understand that this is a necessary part of the process. One of the things that I talk to customers about quite often is, most of the watches, at least a good number of them, they're made overseas. I mean, whether it's in Switzerland or Japan or different locations, if you want to send it directly to the manufacturer, you got to send it outside the country.
Mm,
And I'm in Illinois. Much safer process than what you're going to deal with sending it to someplace else. And a lot of places, if you take it into a local jeweler, there's a person like me that's coming and picking that watch up anyway. And it's not an art that a lot of the local places even have in house anymore.
yeah, I'm noticing that. People don't even want to sell watches. They don't want to sell them, they don't want to fix them. A lot of them
Well, they want to sell you a new one. That's what they want to do.
have the big money to get to do it legitimately with the well, depends what watch brand we're talking about here,
Yeah,
to be
of
completely
course.
honest. So well, I mean, I really appreciate you sharing some of that information about you know having a remote business that's obviously high touch. We I've been seeing this a lot with people who do custom design,
Okay.
and we're kind of working on not only making that process for that client feel good and personal, but super entertaining.
Yeah.
super entertaining, and there's high touch, and there's video, and there's all that type of stuff. So I mean, thanks for sharing the information on kind of how you bridge that gap, and keep that high touch call out every day from your staff is outstanding. I know that people appreciate that. Before we go on to that, actually, the one thing I would like to ask is, I think reputation management might be a very important thing there. Obviously, people, before they send out a $20,000 clock that they hang on to in their wrist, they're probably going to want to look at some reviews and things like this. So what do you guys do for, your review management? And then how does
You
that
know,
play?
it's a hard part of any, I think, any small business, right? Is managing one, expectations, right? We try to set expectations. We meet our timeline probably about 90 plus percent of the time. Sometimes it's just we can't, and we try to communicate why and what we're waiting for. But you do tend to hear from negative people more than you ever hear from the 90% of people that everything just went perfectly with. We we had the we hadn't asked anybody until probably recently in the last 6 months to a year to say, hey, you did work with us. If you had a positive experience, please leave us a positive review. We've just started that process with customers to say, you know, tell us about your experience. What did you like it? Did you not? And boy, as soon as we ask people, we just get glowing 5-star reviews left and right. But if you don't ask anybody, it's they typically just go on with their lives and they don't tell you anything that happened, if it was a positive experience or if it went the way that they had planned it to go. So we've just started kind of that process of managing, I guess, the positive experience. Because if you don't, the only thing you hear is a negative experience, and that's too bad.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I could see that being an issue. People are touchy,
Yeah, and
especially.
and we probably manage it as well with just, we try to meet our expectations, right? If I tell you it's going to take between 4 to 8 weeks, I know that typical repair is going to take me 6 weeks, so I will meet it almost every time. And so we try to manage that expectation. And if it's not going to meet that expectation, we try to call and communicate with the customer to say, hey, the dial that we needed for this repair is on back order. It looks like it's going to come in January, and give them kind of an updated timeline, and give them an update as far as what to expect when expectations change. That's very helpful. It's always not understood, right? It's helpful, but it's always not understood by the customer who is getting that news, because maybe they needed it for Christmas, or maybe they needed it for an event, and I just didn't make that event. So, but we try to communicate, and that's the best solution that we've come back to is communication, over communication, and try to stay on top of things that way.
There's some really cool stuff that can be done there. But I think what you're doing by letting them know, it's like tracking your shipping package. It's just,
Yep.
it's good as you can get there. So that's a great way to be proactive about it. And then it's good to hear that you guys are taking some of the preliminary foundational steps to reputation management, because it works. It works. Like, reviews are so important. So that's outstanding to hear. So so we kind of dove in a little bit about the business operations, what you guys do, how you guys do it, and then so now we'll kind of jump into how you got to growing this business from 2007 to doing over 400,000 jobs, and quite frankly having a ton of different lines on your website that offer really can service a lot of different people. That's a lot there. So what do you do to grow the business as far as like marketing and digital marketing? How do you bring the business in?
So I guess the easiest step is our website is my sales and marketing team. It's out there. It's it, it. We try to do everything that we can to make it easy easy to read, easy to understand. We can fix almost every brand of watch. Sometimes, like if it's a Chinese manufactured movement or something like that, there's really not a lot we can do. But we service every major brand. I always call it 1,200 different brands because we've fixed at least 1,200 different brands over the time. And it's just, and that's not even counting makes and models and all the things that go under each brand name. But that's probably the thing that we offer that maybe everybody else doesn't. A lot of people just specialize. They do a couple brands, they're happy with it, they're good at it, and I found the niche that we're good at is we do everything. We do those niche brands that everybody wants to fix the Rolex, everybody wants to fix you know the Audemars, and everybody wants to fix the Tag Heuer. And I've got my watchmakers that are experts at those. But I also, fix the Tissot and the Movado and the Rado and all the brands that maybe everybody doesn't fix. Maybe everybody doesn't, because there's just not enough to sustain themselves. Well, it's great business for us because we service a little bit of everything.
Yeah, definitely fishing in a larger pond.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the website. So the website's cool. It's sick. I like it. It's very well done. How do you get people there? Are you leveraging SEO? Are you doing paid ads, social ads, or is it just
So
time?
social, there's two pieces that are what I would classify our next endeavors, right? And that's really starting to touch the social side and the email marketing side. We just haven't we're starting it, but I would say I'm an infant. We're in the shallow waters. We're just starting to dip our toe, and we're seeing what we can make of the social side and the email and remarketing back to existing customers. But my existing customers are a big piece of what makes us who we are. That I Probably 30% of what I do is repeat business
Wow.
because they found me, they liked us, and then they send another watch. And typically, watch people. I mean, the culture is I don't have just one; I have 30. You have the person that has their one watch, and that's the only watch that they're ever going to own. And then you break off, and the next person owns an average of like 15, because it's just, oh, I love this. Oh, now I need one with a blue dial. Now I need one that's gold, and oh, I'd love a dress watch, and I'd love a sports watch, and I need one to go camping with. And then you have that person that's just like that, and they have every watch, and eventually they need service, they need somebody to find, and once they find us, they keep coming back. So that's a big piece of what we do. We do dabble in paid ads through Google and Bing, and I think that's just a necessary evil. It didn't used to be, because I think you used to be able to just be really good at what you do, and then Google would put you on the first page, and maybe you'd be a half a page down. Now it just seems like they put AI in there and locations and mapping and all this stuff to take up the first page. If you don't want to pay, then you're going to show up on the second page. So it's a little bit of a necessary evil just to kind of show up for customers. So we do dabble in both Bing and Google marketing just because I think we have to. It's not, if it was just based on SEO and I would show up on the first page, I would show up on the first one, two, or three in almost every major brand because we work a lot on our website to make sure that we're friendly to search through and easy to use, so people have a positive experience in Google and Bing like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, they've made it hard over the years. It's that's all by design. They're
Yeah, yeah, and I get it. They're in business to do their thing, so I look at it as if I have salespeople out there, I have my website that we dedicate a lot of resources to, but then I have to get them there, and sometimes I use Google and Bing to help me path the people to the right place.
and are you running those
Um,
yourself? Are you run them? Do you run them yourself, or
Yeah, we manage the, and that's the pieces that are, you just have to do it and you have to get good at it, and it's nothing that anyone here went to school for, but it's something that you have to get good at because otherwise they're really good at spending your money without
that was?
um
I was just gonna say that.
yeah, without
Much fraud.
knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, like, so I've been doing this since the traditional days in TV and stuff like that. Like while Facebook
Okay.
was rolling out, yeah, it used to be a freaking gold rush. You advertise, you're printing money, you build your business in 2 years, sell it, you're out. Now is
Okay.
different. Now is very different, and in
Yeah.
fact, there is very, very, very good advertisers and marketers
Uh-huh.
and savvy media buyers who may not even be able to catch some of the fraud and the conversion tracking with KPIs. I'll tell you just one way that they do it. If you're running on Facebook and Google and you converted the lead on Google, but they had seen your ad on social media or had it been searched or any type of engagement whatsoever, they are going to double attribute the lead to both platforms. And
Yeah.
you have to do like a deduplication to make sure that those don't overcross. But that's kind of just one of the things that happens where people can get their KPIs and ROIs and cost per leads a little mixed up. Sometimes it's valid, there's sometimes it's valid. Sometimes someone does need to see something 2-3 times and they end up converting, but
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a gray area.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we've seen a little bit as we started doing some of the remarketing to our existing base, is that my Google went up. But I attribute that because somebody gets an email, it reminds them to do something, and then they just look my name up. And then they find me because they've used me before. So I'm not a foreign, but then Google says, yeah, hey, I found you a new customer. And they attribute that to themselves. And it happens, but it was necessary because if they typed in, you know, just a watch repair and a brand name and I didn't come up, well then maybe they wouldn't have clicked on me again, just because they didn't know any better. They just knew that they needed to get their watch repaired. So
Yeah. Yep. Makes sense. And sounds like you got yourself headed in the right direction there. And you gotta play that. You gotta do the basics. People forget to do the basics sometimes. Unfortunately, there are prerequisites if you want to grow a brand. You got to be present, or else someone else is going to be present. So, sounds like
well, and I'll add to that is you just don't want to you can't take your eye off of anything with that. Because if you take your eye off of Google, then they will just continue to just charge a little bit more, and provide about the same results. But you just got to play with it and tweak it and adjust your ads, adjust your content, and make sure that everything is new enough that people want to, in the search bots, continue to come back and see you, and make sure that you're relevant in the digital space. It's a little different than trying to make yourself in a yellow pages or on a Google map. It's just a little bit more challenging. So
it gets harder every day.
mhm.
Well, yes, it does get harder, but you just got to know what you're doing there, and a lot of the ROI is focused on like lifetime value, LTV, repeat business. Like the fortunes and the follow up for real now, because they've all major platforms have made it a little more expensive to play ball on there. So while we're talking about digital marketing and stuff like that, I got to ask you about AI. I don't think you're using AI in your fixing watches or anything like that just yet. But on the business side of things, have you? How do you feel about AI, and does the staff know anything about it?
So the only thing that, minor uses, and it's really to help develop some content once in a while. So if I want to write a piece on just how to change a battery in a watch, we might use AI to do the first pass of this is what a document might look like. and then we'll take that to one of my technicians or even one of the watchmakers and say, okay, now read through this. How do we add this? And then we'll add our own pictures and we'll add our own, adjustments to the content that was created. But it really just, I'll be honest, it's a smart tool that helps you create a 2-page article in 5 minutes that you can edit then in another, hour. Instead of taking 4 to 5 hours to do the whole thing, maybe it was an hour and 15 minutes. And that's where it's just kind of useful. It's the challenge is okay, once I have that content, I don't really need to use AI on a daily basis. It's we might put 1 or 2 articles up a month about different things, about different repair types. So it's nice, but it probably helps a lot of other businesses that need content more than maybe us. But we do dabble in it, or just tell us about the brand, and when we'll put in a brand, and it'll help us create maybe a paragraph of content about the history of the Oris watch, and then okay, we'll edit it, adjust it, and then we might use some of that as content on our website. So it's useful, but it's not as once it's used, it's a one and done for us.
It's good that you're using AI. It is good. You are using it just like most people are using it. If I had to put a math number on that, I would say you're utilizing it at about 3 out of 100.
I
So,
think you're being kind.
well, no, actually, I mean, it's about where it is. I mean, and it's still freaking cool. But
Yeah.
I'll just so these bots, they can get trained, and not only that, many of them come trained. So I have a bot for everything. My podcast bot created the questions for you based off me
Hmm.
inserting a certain amount of information about you. And the
Okay.
questions are very accurate. I was able to do it in a second. I have a bot
Yeah.
for every client, every role that I have in every company. And then I also have a team bot. So let's say I want to train a bot on how to write, let's optimize and write a funnel for Randy's watch repair intake. Oh, yeah, and I want to create a clone of Randy for the video so Randy doesn't have to get out of bed to do these. I can go in there, input what I want, and it will pretty much build it out. However, it was trained. So I'll show you a whole bunch of stuff. We'll have a sidebar about this, but it's great that you guys are dabbling into it. The one thing, and one of the main reasons I am here doing this is because I want to protect the individual businesses who are now already were going up against big box stores, and now those big box stores are training their staff on AI, leveraging AI, cutting their costs significantly, increasing their output significantly. They're using it correctly. It's going to be a problem for the business owners, the small guys. So it's the one thing that I will say is AI is not going to take anybody's jobs just yet. Actually, it is. I'll take it back. It is,
Yeah.
but it's not going to take the person's job who knows how to use it. And that's important for staff members and employees. Yours, not so much as some other industries, but the business operations is where I see things being helpful for you. So this was just a great conversation, Randy. You're badass dude, build a badass brand. It's not an easy business to perfect, and it seems like you guys are really doing amazing things. So I'll ask you just one more question. If you have any advice to people in the community or out here in the world that are going to see this, some could be startups, some could be people who have been in business for 40 years. But yeah, I'm sure you got some piece of advice based on your experience.
Yeah, I probably the biggest advice is, it's just a lot of work, get your hands dirty, get in all parts of the business, and that is just one. It's a sanity saver too. I mean, I can't imagine always doing the same thing every day. So, if you get in every aspect of the business, whether it's talking to customers, working with the marketing team, you know, writing the email that's going to go out to customers, or reviewing everything that's the pictures that are being taken that are going up on the website. I I get involved with a little bit of everything, and I think that that's what drives my love of the business. Because if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't read the story about, you know, thank you for, repairing my grandfather's watch. I have a picture of him that he was actually wearing it, and I savor that, and it's now in a cabinet with the picture, with the watch, and it is a memory that my family will have for the rest of their lives. If I didn't if I didn't get involved with every aspect, I wouldn't know that part. And then you just kind of lose why you're doing
Yeah.
it. And I love that part of the business is that you're restoring and keeping people's memories intact, and that's why we do it. That's why I get up every day and come into the office. And if I can push that on to anybody else, I think that would be the one thing I'd push on is just get involved so you understand why people are doing and why they're doing business with you. And because otherwise they're just a what, not a
Yep.
why.
I love that. Get your hands dirty. I don't that's the first. I agree with that very, very much. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that, Randy. Again, thank you so much for I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on. Thanks for sitting with me. Pleasure to meet you. I look forward to building a relationship with you. Um, as always, call
Yeah.
if you need anything. And then in closing, please just let's reiterate, guys, if you guys want to reach Randy Horgan at watchrepairusa.com. You can find him
Hmm.
online. It's very easy. All you do is Google that, he'll come up. And other than that, Randy, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. It's boy, you taking the time to get the kind of information out to the marketplace is huge. I love the content that you put out. It's helpful. I mean, small businesses just need to connect with each other. We're to a certain extent, people say, "Oh, you're in competition." No, I'm not in competition with you. You do something different than what I do, and I do something slightly different than you do. So we're all playing in the same community. That's what we got to make sure is stays intact is the
Hell
community.
yeah, man. God bless. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Um, thanks for saying that. I appreciate it. So, guys, check him out, Randy Horgan, watchrepairusa.com. Thank you so much, Randy.